From being a wee nipper, my dad has harped on about Nortons non-stop. We have Norton t-shirts, Norton mugs. Even his garage is adorned with posters of Norton. They're absolutely everywhere. And growing up, it was quite clear that my dad put this brand and these bikes on a pedestal. So of course, growing up with a dad so Norton obsessed, I painted a picture of the brand as iconic. Like, if my dad loves it that much and has such a special place in his heart, then clearly, you know, there's got to be something about this brand and, you know, the bikes. Now, I'm feeling pretty lucky because these bikes aren't cheap. They're quite spenny. We're talking a pound shy of £17,000 for the SP version, and you don't see a lot of them on the road. They're not exactly mass produced. They're completely built in Britain, in the UK, and yeah, I get to ride one. So since this opportunity doesn't come up all the time, I'm going to give you guys the good, the bad and the ugly, baby. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. Well guys, look at this. Look what we have before us. The stunning Norton Commando 961 SP. Now this bike is available in two different colour options. We have it here in Matrix Black, and it's also available in Manx Platinum. There are two alternate rims available as well. You've got these gorgeous metal rims with the spokes, but you can get them black on each of the colour options if you desire. Norton have kept it very simple but very sexy with this engine. Just look at it. I love the parallel twin. I love its fins. I love that gorgeous engine casing with the Norton branding. I think it looks timeless and of course very in keeping with the Commando as a model. It houses an air and oil cooled push rod parallel twin engine with a dry sump, so no wheelies guys. And it produces 76.8 brake horsepower at 7,250 RPM and 81 Newton meters of torque at 6,300 RPM. The bike has 5 gears instead of 6, and it does have this very pretty full stainless steel exhaust. I have never heard a bike sound this loud and ruckus straight out the factory. Since the bike is just shy of £17,000, you expect some pretty decent hardware for that money, and for that Norton have delivered. So with the brakes, we have full Brembo brakes. On the front we have twin Brembo 320mm floating high carbon steel discs and two 4-piston radially mounted monoblock calipers. If we look at the suspension, we do have that stunning 43mm upside down all-in setup, which has loads of adjustability, preload, compression, rebound. And then at the rear we have a fully adjustable Öhlins twin shock as well. Of course we have Brembo master cylinders and ABS as standard. The bike has a seat height of 810mm, weighs in at 230 kilograms and has a 15-litre tank capacity. Before we jump on this bike and give it a ride, I just want to say that my official channel sponsor, Bikesure Insurance, are actually the official and approved insurance company that represent Norton. Now, if you are lucky enough to own one of these special motorcycles, then Bikesure will have a policy to suit your needs down to the ground. If you are in the market for insurance as a Norton owner or as an owner of any motorcycle, then definitely do give those guys a try. They're de facto 5-star rated, which is the highest or one of the highest accolades in insurance. It means that they are tried, tested and trusted. They've been going for over 30 years, and even though I've been sponsored by Bikesure Insurance for 3 years, I've been with them for 5 and they've always seen me right. So if you are in the market for insurance, check my description below, and if you quote Usernamekate, I have heard stories that people have been getting a little bit of discount, and even though I don't have a dedicated referral or affiliate link where I get commission if you mention my name, I have heard that people do benefit from a little bit of discount, and that warms my soul. So on that note, let's get out and ride. Woo! Right guys, I'm on the mighty Norton Commando 961 SP. We're on the SP version, not the Cafe Racer. So we've got the flat bars and a slightly cheaper price tag. I've come quite far out from home today just so that I can get some nice tasty roads to take this bike on, because I feel like I've got a lot to say about it. So we're in the Nazionale, baby. Oh yes. The sun is out. Sun is out. So I wanted to take it on some twisties, because I feel like if you're going to throw money at this bike, it's not going to be a tourer. It's going to be a bike where you take it out for the blast down the country lanes. Look at this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've just done a bit of motorway blatting, and yeah, it is quite a vibraty bike, especially when you're doing like 75, 80 on the speedo, so probably realistically about 70, 75 in real life. It is a bit shake your fillings out, but if you buy one of these bikes and just spend your life on the motorway, then what was the point in even buying this bike? It's not made for that. Don't get me wrong, it can handle the odd motorway blat. You just feel a bit tingly afterwards. Oh, so one thing about this bike, and is the suspension's firm, straight out the box, but it is fully adjustable, so you know, just because I've not bothered to tweak it and soften it up a little bit and I'm just riding it how it's come, but that's on me. So I've got to take the hammerings when it comes to hitting potholes and stuff like that, because it's on me, you know. So one thing, you do feel a bit uncouth riding through villages because it's loud. Oh, I have never heard a modern retro bike sound like this fresh out the factory. Oh, it sounds, oh gosh, this is a family showcase. Sounds pretty damn good, alright? So we're working with 77 horsepower. I know a few of this bike's competitors pump out a few more ponies than this, but honestly I think 77 brake horsepower is a nice amount for this. It's got a good amount of torque, and I kind of like the old feeling bikes that do put out this kind of power output basically. Oh listen, oh it sounds naughty. The exhausts look naughty as well. Stainless steel. We've got 5 gears with this bike, and on the motorway it felt like it could have done with another one, but the gears are quite long feeling. It's just we're still working with 77 horsepower and 5 gears, so I wouldn't really like to do any more than 80 mile an hour on this personally. But out of a bike that's designed to just give you that nostalgic throwback feeling, does it have to have crazy superbike power? So with this bike, you've got barely any tech on it. No pigeon. You've got ABS, and that's about as good as it gets. If you want to charge your iPhone on the move or connect your phone to the dash and have integrated sat-nav and playing music and all that, it's definitely not the bike for you. This bike, in my opinion, just encompasses a proper raw, like old school feeling of a bike. Now you're probably thinking, Kate, you're like 30 years old, what do you know about like the old bikes? And to be fair, older bikes haven't really been on my radar, if I'm being honest, and I haven't really ridden them. I've been really looking, kind of blessed to ride loads of new bikes and modern bikes to test and review, and that's amazing. But I got a taste of riding an old bike recently in the form of a Ducati 750S, which I took to the bottom of Germany because I didn't quite get to Italy. I want to have a good spankage on this bike, and that blue car's kind of killing my vibe. Killing my vibe, dude. So we'll just go slow around here, nothing behind. Oh, but we've got a moment to admire these views. Look at it. Wow, this is gorgeous. Truly gorgeous. We've got sheep about, seemingly unfazed. Right, should be far enough in the future, so. Oh, it sounds great. Sounds great. So with this, we don't have a slipper clutch, we don't have traction control. You've just got to use your brain, engage it, not be a clown, and that should keep safe enough. But yeah, we've no quick shifter, we've no blipper, we've no fuel gauge, we've no gear indicator. It's just you and the bike for a raw riding experience, taking on the country lanes and feeling damn satisfied with yourself. The sound, it roars. It's addictive. When you shut off and the engine naturally decelerates, it pops, it burbles, it crackles even, and I think it's gorgeous for the sound. Now, riding like that on the country lanes, it is a bit of a vibrating machine, to be honest. In fact, when I wind it on, I can feel like a reverberation. Is that a word? I can feel like reverb in my heart. You know, like when you're at a concert and you can hear the bass and you feel your heart shake and vibrate. I get that absolute feeling when I'm winding it on the country lanes, and I'm not telling porkies there. That's the genuine feeling that I can, you know, compare it to. So I'd probably suggest that if you've got a pacemaker, it's definitely not the bike for you. Definitely not. Oh, but the sound is all you can think of on these roads. Oh, run, little duckies, run. Oh, listen to the pops and the crackles of the engine. Mental. Now, I feel like the suspension is a bit shallow, because just then the suspension, it felt like quite knocky on the front, like it bottomed out. I think that's probably to do with the suspension settings of the fork. I'm sure that can be cured, but I will say that it does have quite shallow travel. Like if you just look at the fork legs, you know, there's not much silver going on. Brakes are great. I thought they'd run a chance of it being over-braked, feeling over-braked, because I very much felt like that with the CF Moto CLX 500 Sport. That had like a twin disc setup with Brembos, and again it wasn't the most powerful bike there is, but it felt like every time you broke it kind of stood you up a little bit. But I don't get that with this. More gravel, we love it. Not. Midges, we love them. Not. Listen! Oh! Probably can't down here, so you just can't see jack all. Except lots of gravel, which is... So what do I like about this bike? I like that I feel like I'm on an old ass bike. I like that a lot because it feels different, it feels special. It just gives you that sense that you are free and you are on a noisy bike that looks sexy as hell and looks classic, and yeah, it's a proper, visceral riding experience. It's just a bike that gets under your skin when you ride it in a good way. I might be completely alone in this opinion, it is just my opinion, so you know, take one out for a test ride and you can make that decision yourself as to if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But even though this bike is a parallel twin, an air and oil cooled parallel twin, pushrod parallel twin, to me, in the low gears, I feel like it behaves a bit like a single cylinder, a stroppy single cylinder, when you're not quite giving it enough revs and it gets a bit chuggy chuggy chuggy. I kind of get those vibes with this bike. Specifically when I was up the likes of the Hard Knot Pass and, you know, doing all the switchbacks and stuff, there was a lot of clutch slippage going on because it likes to be revved and it's most at home and happy like now. Chug 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 chug. Yeah, just quite chug chug chug. And for me it does feel quite single cylinder-y. But again, if you've ridden the Norton and you think I'm speaking absolute garbage, then tell me. But that's just what I get from it. That's just how it makes me feel. Oh, hello, Dolly. Excuse you, Queen. Don't mind me. Oh, it's got horns. It's not a Dolly, it's a Dylan. Oh, okay. Sounding rather fruity. Honestly, I know there's a lot of people that say this power isn't enough with this bike, we should have more power. I think the power is lovely for this style of bike, for this design of bike. Yeah, if you want more power, you got options. Well, don't mind me, Mr. Grazy McGee. Oh, these sheep are getting rather comfy with just chilling on the roads. But yeah, this XSR 900. I do think the exhaust would make the sheep flinch a bit, but so far they're not, which is making me feel better. Oh, look at all this gravel. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely what you need on the outside of a bend. Oh, keeps things interesting. Yeah, if you're one of these people that thinks it needs more power, then you've got the other modern classics. But yeah, I just think it's lovely. Yeah, so as I was saying, this bike is bare of tech. No tech at all. And sometimes even the neutral light, it has to think about whether it wants to come on or not. And you know what, it's not like Norton can't do tech. Norton can do tech extremely well. All you have to do is look at the V4 SV, that £44,000 jobby. That's got keyless ride, that's got TFT, I'm pretty sure that's got a little rear view camera. It's got all the traction control, it's got all the, well, it's got 6-axis IMU, so, you know, it's not like Norton can't do technology. They've just chosen to keep it off this because it's very reminiscent of the Norton Commando. Stunning, 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 stunning. I love this part of the world, and I'm really glad that I get to do it on this bike. Just because you feel like a badass, you look like a badass, you look cool as heck. Wow, there's some big drops here. You don't want to... Oh, rabbit! Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Don't let Kate have her fun, fun, fun. She'll get by without a rabbit pie. So run, rabbit, run, run, run. That was for you, Mum. She loves me singing. It's also pretty nice as well because this bike is made in the UK. There's not many bikes now where the production is in the UK. Feels very sure-footed, very planted. It is quite a heavy bike at 230 kilograms, and I feel it when I'm trying to push it around, but when I'm on it, I love it. Yeah, it is a rewarding bike, to be honest. It's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. There will be people out there that won't appreciate it for what it is and all its rawness and all its old school vibe qualities. And I get that. I get that. Not everything is for everyone. Oh, another rabbit. There'll be people out there that'll be like, oh no, it's far too, you know, vibraty of a bike. And do you know what? Like, yeah, the vibrations, they're there. Like, it can't be denied. But for me, it kind of gives me the same feeling as like if I was to ride a Harley Dyna. You know it's vibey. You know it's going to shake your feelings out, but you accept that with ownership because it's all part of the character. If this was designed to be a tourer, I might take a bit more, you know, offence to its vibrations, because I'd be like, how can I tour on something that's like mega vibey? But I just don't think that's what this bike is. I think honestly this bike is a rich man or woman's toy. And if you've got the money, what a toy, because I am having so much fun flowing over these country lanes. So I took the Norton Commando to the Lake District for my birthday, and I wrote a list of the things that I love about it and some of the things that I don't quite like about it. So I am using my phone because as things became apparent to me, I jotted them down so I wouldn't forget to regurgitate it to you guys so you know exactly what I was feeling when I was riding the bike. So one of the things that I really like about this bike, revving it out from a stop in first gear sounds ungodly. It is the most ruckus, awesome noise, and you just feel like a badass when you rev it out all the way in first gear before you change, because the gears are quite long, and yeah, it sounds incredible. Another thing that I made a note of was that it gives you feelings that you can't get with a modern bike. Modern bikes are almost a little bit too easy to ride nowadays. I mean, the GS, for example, my GS. I feel like you can jump on a GS and you can feel like you're a good rider because the bike basically rides itself. It's that cushy. We've got telelever suspension, you just float. You can ride it fast, you can ride it hard, and it's just easy. With this bike, it's not so easy because you haven't got things like gear indicators, and you know, sometimes it's not always easy with the ear to think whether you're in second or whether you're in third. So you might drop it from what you think is third to second, but you're actually dropping it second to first. And because we've no slipper clutch, because we've no traction control, you know, it's a bit of an exciting ride, because the back end can let you know about it if you're dropping into first when you think you're going in second. So it's not a massively easy bike to ride, but I'm not necessarily saying that's a negative, because it's a really engaging ride. You've got to think, you've got to engage brain. It doesn't ride itself. It's not like that GS that just glides around. You've got to give it some personal input, and you've got to, I don't know, you've just got to manhandle it, and you've got to appreciate it for what it is, with its lack of tech and everything like that. Now, it's not that Norton can't do tech. Norton can do tech quite well, as I mentioned on the ride, but they've just chosen to keep things really basic. Would a gear indicator make my life a bit easier on this thing? Yes. And would a range be nice as well? Like a range indicator? Yes, it would. But I did do 133 miles on this bike before the fuel light came on, so that gives you an indication of how many miles you can get to a tank. And then another thing, and something that is just so important, is this is a bike that you look back at when you're at a petrol station. So much so that you actually bump into people, because it's hard to take your eyes off it. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. The exhausts just encompass the engine so nicely. This engine casing is stunning. The front of it is so elegant, with that single headlight and those beautiful gold forks and that gorgeous carbon fender and the big chunky brakes and the good suspension and the frame and these panels. Oh, everything. I think it's a visual delight. Bar a few little things, but these are things that I would change personally if I could own one of these and afford one of these, which I can't, so it's just a pipe dream. And then finally, it doesn't handle like I would imagine an old classic bike to handle. Not that I've ridden any old classic bikes, this is just what I think an old classic bike would be like to ride. I can imagine it would be quite sketchy to push some of the older bikes like you can on these country lanes, but this just laps it up. The handling is sublime. I really, really like the handling of this bike. It means business, it goes well. I mean, 77 brake horsepower, it's enough for these kind of roads, but it's got the torque, it's got that gorgeous engine sound to accommodate it when you're rolling on the throttle. Oh, it's just beautiful. So yeah, the handling, the aesthetic, the raw, nostalgic, you know, satisfying ride that it gives you, I really like. Now, I've got a list of cons, and I always deliver cons on a bike because no bike's perfect, so you've got to be a realist about things. One of the things that I struggle with, might be a me problem, might not be, is the pegs. I find them quite slippy on my boot, and especially when it was really, really wet in the Lake District, I found that my foot slipped off completely because it was torrential, as you'll probably see in some footage that I'll insert, and I didn't like that. But that might just be down to my boots. They are really old and quite, you know, worn on the sole, so that might just be a me problem, not necessarily a bike problem. Another thing that you have to factor in when you ride this bike is its non-existent turning circle. I mentioned in the ride review that I was going up the Hard Knot Pass and I had to turn it quite a lot to just get it round one of the hairpins, which wasn't ideal. Sold them around. Beasts. I look good then, look good. Another thing, if you are sensitive to vibrations, then this isn't the bike for you. And you know what, I am quite sensitive usually to vibrations, I'd say. But these ones kind of don't bother me because I just feel like it's part and package of being on this kind of bike, as I was explaining in the ride footage. To me, I just see it as character, and I don't find the vibrations an issue because it's how I imagine the older bikes to ride. But if you are quite sensitive to them, like I mentioned, and you get things like white finger, especially at motorway speeds, you definitely feel the vibes more so than any other time. But again, if you're buying this bike, don't waste its life on the motorway. You want the nice, sexy back roads. That's what you need. So yeah, I have to mention it because they are apparent. But for me personally, it wouldn't put me off owning this bike. Absolutely not. Another thing, as you've probably seen on the ride footage, is to switch the bike on for it to start. It's really fussy with how you fire it up, like the order sequence of pressing this red button, letting the fuel pump prime, turning the key so it's on, and sometimes it's just not even responsive if you don't get it in the right order. Switched it on, but nothing's happening. That's because you have to press this, then it'll switch on. It's a weird little quirk with the switch gear. Try and switch it off. See, but then you switch it off and it's still lit up. Oh, it's gone off. Switch it back on. Let's give it another go. Starts. I think what it is it doesn't like starting if you don't press this correctly. It's like a little weird starting quirk with it. Now, I don't really know what the right order is. I'm just kind of winging it. So that's quite frustrating for me at the moment when I'm just there like, come on, start. How do I get you to start? But again, if you're an owner, have a look at the manual, figure out the best way to get it to fire up first time, no problem, and then there won't be a problem. But for me, just jumping on it, and at first I was like, is there something wrong with the engine? Is it something I've done? But then the more it's happened, the more I've realised that it is just that starting up sequence, just trying to turn the key but make sure that button's been pressed in and out, and I don't always get it right every time and it can be quite annoying. But like I say, if you're an owner, you'll probably get that dialed in pretty quick and understand what you need to do to turn it on. Oh, that sounded worse when I said it out loud than in my head. Another thing, come on, the indicators could be sexier. They could be sexier. They're very like, I don't know, I'm trying to be nice, but they're giving like parts bin special a little bit. I feel like if they had some sexy thin Rizoma type indicators on the front and on the rear, I feel like even though this is a very, very pretty and beautiful bike, I feel like that would just elevate it. Same with these, you know, if this plastic was kind of smoked or, you know, not so plasticky looking, and maybe some metal reservoir caps instead of plastic. I mean, I get that the Brembo, so we've got good equipment, but just tart them up a little bit for me. You know, I've spent 17 grand on a bike. Make me think that way when I look down at the cockpit. Yeah, fair comment. And then finally, this makes me sad. This makes me sad. The key. I'm going to see if I can come closer and show you guys. I hope you can see that. But it looks like it could be a key that belongs to like an Oxford padlock. It's not giving Norton specialness that I expected. I expected a real fancy key, a purposeful key. But we got this instead. So yeah, I think Norton could do better there. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've tried to tell you my pros and my cons and be as brutally honest as possible. If you like what you've heard, then please hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow, and I always appreciate every single one of you that does hit that subscribe button, that comments, whether it's positive or negative. I appreciate anyone that likes the videos or shares them with the mates. It's all appreciated. Okay guys, until the next time, take care, ride safe, look after each other, and I'll see you on the next video. Auf Wiedersehen. Oh no, it's probably not the right thing to say for a British bike. Goodbye, goodbye.